Sujatha, Namaste, good afternoon, Adab. Welcome to our show, Wellness Time. It's wonderful to be here, and I hope all of you are watching our show with as much love and interest as we have here today. And I have a very special guest who served India as a colonel and retired, and he's a doctor who has served thousands of people in the country and outside the country, and I have had the privilege of meeting him, and he agreed to be here on our show to talk about himself and his journey in his life. Dr. Rajeev Malhotra, welcome to our show.
Thank you, Rani, and my good afternoon to everyone.
It's been a pleasure to have you here, and you've been such an inspiration to so many people, thousands of people, and I'm one of them. I'm so honored to know you, and it's been so wonderful that you agreed to come here and share some of your deepest thoughts and your journey of your life.
Thank you, Rani. Actually, I'm honored to be here, and very kind words you've spoken. I'm just an ordinary man trying to do extraordinary things. That's how I describe myself. Yeah, it's very nice, and I hope all the listeners will benefit from our talk.
I'm sure they will be by the end of the show. I can assure you, viewers, you will be. So let's get on to the show, Dr. Rajeev. So tell us, when did you come to Canada?
Well, I came way back in 2002.
Okay.
And it's been a long journey with all its ups and downs. But being a soldier, I don't bother about the downs. I have to get up.
Once a soldier, always a soldier, isn't it?
And each one of us actually in real life is a soldier of sorts.
Yes.
And like I told you in your last show, that you also inspire me. You've been doing such a lot of work against all odds. So it's very kind of you to have me on the show.
So Dr. Rajeev, when did you retire from the army?
Well, you're going to make me feel old. I took premature retirement. I didn't actually retire.
Okay.
Because I was academically inclined, or so I thought. And in '97, I took premature retirement as a colonel, and then I joined a medical college where I was teaching. Teaching is my other profession other than medicine. And yes, I say I'm not a teacher. I inspire people to great heights, and some of my students have done very, very well in their lives.
I'm sure that's incredible. And like all soldiers, I'm sure you too have so many stories to tell us. So during your army days, would you be kind enough to share at least one of them with us?
One of the things, we all must have heard of post-traumatic stress disorder, and you'll be surprised even this I'm talking about nearly 30 years ago, that I was once stuck in the Himalayas, and it was a snowstorm at a high altitude of nearly 20,000, and we had no escape, because when it snows over there, it snows in hundreds of feet, not in centimeters. Right?
Not like in Canada, much more.
Yeah, so I got stuck there, and we had an injured person. He had actually broken his jaw.
Oh my goodness.
He fell off. He's trying to fix things, and for the next 4 hours, I held his jaw just to let him breathe. And it was quite an effort. I, of course, was exhausted after that. But yes, that guy was brave. We saved him. And we saved 24 other men who were stuck in that snowstorm.
Can you elaborate a little bit about that, please?
Well, that would take the whole time. But yes, it was such a traumatic event that for 24 hours we were stuck. The temperatures normally were -54. With wind chill, it goes to -75, and winds were howling. A truck was on the edge of a cliff. The drop was 2,000 feet. If it had moved a little bit, we would have all perished, of course. But I believe the Creator wanted us to live a little longer and face what I'm facing now, a lymphoma, right? So it was, and there was no water, no food, no nothing, because we thought it's a 4-hour journey. We had, of course, one pack, packed lunch, which we finished, and after that we were all without. After 24 hours we were rescued. That man also fortunately survived.
Your 24 men had you as a guru, as a leader, as an inspiration. What kept you going there?
Actually, I didn't think we would survive, honestly. I'll be very honest with you. And there were, those 24 men depended on me. So there was a classic in olden times called Lord Jim. I don't know if you've heard of that class. It was about a sailor who had once betrayed his men and later on died trying to save his men. So his story always inspired me as a child, and I said, this seems to be my moment. So I got out of the truck. It was a 3-ton truck, and all night, other than saving that broken jaw fellow, I was swinging by ropes by the side of the truck, inspiring them that I'm not leaving. Although I could have left, there was a jeep which could pass through, but I said, no, I will live and die with my men. But all of us survived.
Incredible. Like I've heard, you want to know the character of a person, put him deep into trouble, and then the true character comes out. That's true,
and sometimes inner strengths which we are not aware of. I don't claim to be a very brave man or something, but yes, inner strengths, we all have inner strengths, and we need to tap on them and bring them out to the fore.
Sometimes there's no choice but to be strong.
Yeah, it's all the only choice you ever have is to be strong.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And you're the living example.
And failure is not an option.
No, it is never an option. So, Dr. Rajeev, you came to Canada, and then you were retired from the army. You're a doctor. How did you handle coming to Canada?
Honestly, it was, I wouldn't prefer to talk about it. It's a lot of ups and downs, and it's very difficult to get in as a doctor here.
Yes.
For whatever reasons. And the worst reason that I faced, because I had a limited income and limited reserves, and I finished them all in 6 months, trying to fend for my family. I didn't have the money for the next exam too, but I get that is destiny. And as a soldier, all I knew was I'm going to pick up the strands wherever they are and carry on.
Keep going.
Keep going.
So viewers, I would like to tell you all why exactly Dr. Rajeev Malhotra is here. He is going through a phase of his life that is unimaginable for many of us, for most of us, that is. So Dr. Rajeev, please share this phase of your life with us. When were you diagnosed of?
About 5 years ago I started developing health problems, and I was surprised because I'm very athletic and I keep running. Even today I run 1 kilometer almost every day and do my gym regularly. Yes, about 4 years ago I thought I twisted my ankle and it was swollen, and I have to say here, the doctors are nice, but the systems in Canada, well, having been in the health field for so many years, nearly 40 years, and I do feel they could improve a little bit. It took them over 2.5 years to come to a diagnosis, in spite of all the good intentions of all the doctors. One particular instance I want to tell you is, this lymphoma is a blood cancer. There are 2 kinds of lymphoma. One is Hodgkin's lymphoma and one is a non-Hodgkin's. Lymphoma, incidentally, the lymphatic system is your defense mechanism against infection. And any tumor along the path of this, every cell in your body is covered by a clear fluid called lymph. And it goes through some lymph nodes where it gets into the fight with your white blood cells and all, and the infection is controlled or not controlled. 90% of the lymphomas are non-Hodgkin's. Hodgkin's was a scientist who discovered it, I guess. And from there on, the problem is, I had a tumor in the pelvis. My good doctor sent me for an ultrasound of the abdomen, and the ultrasoundologist said, it's only abdomen, we are not going to the pelvis. Although anyone who knows, it's just an arbitrary line between the abdomen and the pelvis. It went on, my leg became increasingly swollen, and fortunately one doctor said, let's send you for because that implies an obstruction to the lymphatic channels. and she sent me for an ultrasound. Fortunately for me, the person working as an ultrasoundologist was a foreign trained doctor, and she went beyond my lower limb and went into the iliac region, this region and there she detected this tumor. And I'm really grateful to that doctor that she extended it to that. Otherwise, I would have still been wondering what the hell is going on with me.
And how many years after?
It took them 2.5 years to diagnose, and you will not believe it. I was being such an active man. It was very, very disheartening for me. But being a soldier, I did pick up, and I said, no, we are going to get to the bottom of it. And my doctor especially was very helpful in everything. I must compliment him for that.
So, what is the procedure, Dr. Rajeev? So, once it is diagnosed, what was the next step?
The problem, may I call you Rani? Right?
Yes,
the problem, lymphoma it's kind of difficult to diagnose because it doesn't present with a definitive symptom. That's with most of the cancers. They remain hidden, they produce vague symptoms. And for lymphomas, there are some certain symptoms which you have to be very high alert on those symptoms. Like one might get swelling, like I got swelling of one lower limb, right? And swelling could be due to anything. I thought I had injured my ankle by running, but most of the doctors thought that too. But when the whole limb got swollen, then we realized, hey, there's something drastically wrong. I had pain. I had very severe pain. And surprisingly, one of the doctors just gave me a boot. I hardly examined. It did not go beyond the foot. Had he taken the trouble to go beyond the foot, he would have seen the swelling of my whole lower limb. Yes. And anyway, the pain is there, swelling is there, weight loss. I did not have weight loss. Maybe Canadian food is doing me very well. I'm still carrying on with it. And fever. I used to get, now in retrospect, I realized I used to get vague fevers. I wouldn't understand what the hell is going on with me. I'm sorry. And I used to have excessive sweating. These are typical symptoms of lymphoma. But now this, in retrospect, you get. But individually, one gets a little fever, gets all right.
Yes.
He carries on with his life, right?
And none of us think that, oh, if I have fever, I may have cancer.
Yes, exactly. That's precisely the. And I, of course, didn't have any weight loss. And then another symptom of lymphoma is abdominal. You know, the lymphatic channels and in the intestines, they get swollen and they get inflamed, or not really inflamed, but swollen, and that can cause constipation or diarrhea or some kind of irregularity, or even spasmodic pain. I used to get pain, but having eaten in half of the world, I really don't know what my abdominal pain is related to, right? Okay, so no one could be faulted for that. And itching. Now in Canada, in winters, it's cold and your skin gets dry. Itching is a normal phenomenon, right? And I used to think maybe I need a little oil massage and it'll be all right. And one doesn't associate it with lymphoma. Yeah. So these all symptoms are actually of lymphoma. And fatigue. I was wondering why I have a good diet, I exercise regularly. There's no reason for me to have fatigue, right? And yet I used to get tired sometimes. And another thing that misled me was thinking, hey, maybe I'm getting older, right?
Yeah.
And till today, sometimes I don't know whether the symptoms are due to are age related or they're lymphoma related. Okay, and yes. Once you get a lymphoma, since the lymphatic system is supposed to be your fighting system, your defense mechanism against infection, the patient becomes increasingly susceptible or vulnerable to infections. So, like if I'm sitting next to some infected person, I would easily get it. Another person may not get it.
So the immunity level
goes down. That's the right word. Yes, very right. Immunity goes down, and because this is essentially of the immune system, right? And another thing, some patients will experience what is called breathlessness. Yes, but a guy like me who's been doing workouts almost every day of my life, breathlessness after exercise is normal, and one doesn't pay much attention to it. But I, of course, didn't get it. But these are some of the typical symptoms of lymphoma, and one has to be on high alert to realize that this could be a lymphoma, and not age-related, not due to infection. So sometimes it is very difficult to arrive at a diagnosis.
Yes. So how do we know?
The best course of action is to keep going to your doctor if you're not getting well. If you've got a swelling which is inexplicable, then you might as well go to the doctor. There's a pain which is not, you'll get, or there's, one very important is weight loss. If you experience weight loss, that, because cancer cells eat away your diet, and you get, they are, let's say, some age group which runs amok, right? So that is what is cancer. So it is very difficult to diagnose. So keep going to the doctor till he arrives at a diagnosis. Blood tests may or may not help. Ultrasound and getting to the bottom of it. And fortunately, my doctor was with me all the way, and my chemo doctor is also fantastic. She's a very professional lady, incredibly, and I'm really obligated to all of them. Sometimes once the tumor is detected, then we have to have a biopsy before a definitive diagnosis or treatment can begin. And there was an interventional radiologist who did the biopsy of my tumor. Another wonderful doctor, a very beautiful job he did.
When was it?
This was about 2 years ago. Yeah, it's about 4.5 year story now, so it was about 2 years ago. And he also did a very good job of the tumor, and then the treatment started. They did a bone marrow biopsy too. It's taking a little bit from inside your bone. The inner part of the bone is called bone marrow, and from there you take and you find out the exact diagnosis. So all this was done wonderfully at Retd Valley Hospital, and as the story goes, we kept on. I just had my now I go for chemo every 3 months. The thing is to keep your spirits high and go to your doctor. He will help you. There are a lot of help agencies, cancer groups which help you. And this especially I'm saying for women who are sometimes, there are more instances of some cancers in women, right? So never lose heart, and life is everything in life is in waves, up and down. So when you're in down, the only thing you've got to do is get up, dust yourself, and carry on.
Yeah, there are times when we get tired,
yes.
So just rest.
Yeah, but never give up.
Going.
Never give up, yes.
So Dr. Rajeev, tell me, from the day you were diagnosed to the day you started your chemo, what was the period?
Once it was diagnosed, it was literally a snap.
Really?
Yes, it was literally a snap, and quickly I had to go to, I thought I had to go for an operation, and I went to Toronto General, but the doctor said, no, this you can treat Mississauga, so I was fortunate with that. And the only problem is sometimes this can impact your job.
Yes.
And fortunately my college has been very helpful in that too. And they allow me those free days when I go for chemo, and normally about 2 days process. And the recovery from chemo is another thing. It is what we used to call in common language zaps you, yes. Right? You're from South India, you know what a coconut scraper is?
Yes.
It scrapes your insides. So yes, but that is, you have to face it. There's nothing you can do about it. One has to be grateful that at least you got treatment for it, right? Yes. And you're getting better and better.
Yes.
And I have had no weight loss ever since, doing so far so good. I had my chemo 2 weeks ago, and the third day I was back in the gym.
Wow.
You have to get up and do it.
So you just had your chemo 2 weeks ago, and you're here today.
Yeah.
Talking to us. Incredible.
Yeah, it's all part of life's journey, and
it shows your willpower.
Yes, I get inspired by all people around me. I told you.
So, tell me, Dr. Rajeev, your family's role in this. I'm sure, and I know it is a huge impact on you, the way
that's a very
supported you.
Very good question. And my wife and my son Paras and my wife Madhu, they have been very, very supportive. My younger son is not here. I did not tell him, and he got very annoyed. He said, "Dad, I would have done anything to come to you." So the family really gets together, and you realize what a wealth family is, in spite of all your differences in every family, right? And yes, the impact is more psychological, perhaps, because the minute one gets diagnosed with some kind of a cancer, one thinks, "Oh, that's the death knell." No, it is not. It is not. Today, most of the cancers are treatable. I have a friend's wife. She had a very stage 4 cancer, and the doctors here have done a wonderful job on her. 5 years down the line, she is still active and one of the most active members of our group, a social group.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, so of course women have more strength than men, but yes, we men can get always inspired by women, right?
So how did your wife deal with the situation, Dr. Rajeev?
She's a very, very brave lady. I'm just fortunate to have her because she someone never goes down. She always will pick herself up and say, "Okay, this is a problem. We got to sort it out."
Very practical.
Very practical, very down to earth, very positive. I shouldn't be saying this on TV if she hears it.
Because what I see is when a calamity hits a family, it's very hard on the family members.
Yes, some like I told you, the first feeling that we all got was it's a death knell. And I did call, which is very wrong to assume, very wrong to think that once you got a diagnosis of cancer, you're going to die. No, you're not. It's a very wrong thing to think. So one must get that thought out of your head straight away. However, it does creep in, and personally, I did call my financial advisor and say, "Hey, check my papers, and I should leave something for my wife and children." And my wife is a non-medical person, and she also thought perhaps this man is going. And my son was very upset, although he's a brave guy, but I could see as a doctor, I could see the impact on him. And yes, it does psychologically impact the family very much. And I have known some families to actually break up in crisis. Yes. But most of the families, this is what family is all about. Yes. Stick together, get strength from each other. And that is very important. We should never forget that, yes, that part of it.
So, are there any groups, any help that family members can get?
Yes, actually from the hospital itself, there are social workers who will guide you to the right person. Your doctor can guide you to the right person. I am part of the cancer group, and actually there's one event coming up in April or May, and I'm going to volunteer for that. And I would suggest even normal people should volunteer for that. Like you must have seen that pink ribbon, yes, for breast cancer, yes, right? Yes. And those are groups which give you all kinds of support to the families, to you personally, to the person affected personally.
So you mean when you were diagnosed of cancer, the hospital gives you all the information?
Yes, they give you, and the lovely resources over there, the social worker there, and the dietitian will come and tell you what to eat. Yeah. Although in Canada, they're not used to too many vegetarian Indians. Yes. But slowly, yes, my dietitian did come back to me, and she's a wonderful lady. She actually went, researched, said, "I'm going to send you the diet for you as an Indian." Some of us Hindus are very rigid about vegetarianism. I'm no exception to that. And yes, she made a special diet for me. So it's very, very supportive.
So every 3 months you have to go back for a chemotherapy?
Yeah, for 2 years, and I've done about 1.5 years already. And then they say every 6 months for another 3 years. And it's a wonderful experience. So even while chemo, the nurses, the staff, they are so supportive. I cannot overemphasize that or thank them enough.
But please give us your frank opinion and your thoughts the day you have a chemo till your next chemo. How are your days?
maybe I'm a little different from people that, because of my army training, that I just take it as another challenge, and it's okay. And from the day I started the chemo till today, actually the chemo has also improved considerably.
Wow.
And my next injection is not going to be intravenous, but yes, and I did. They give us a crisis number to contact if we have some crisis, and I did have one episode, and I called up that number, and I immediately reached there. They asked me if I needed some ambulance or something. I didn't. My wife brought me there, and the nurse over there called the doctor. We had it was a breathlessness episode, and it all worked out very well. The nurse did everything possible to make me comfortable.
Wonderful. May I ask what led to that stage?
You know what happens is the tissues, internal tissues, whichever are affected, they get swollen, right? And some of the intravenous fluids also sometimes we tend to get overloaded with it. That could have caused, I don't know which one of them caused breathlessness, but I was promptly treated, and ECG was taken because being an Indian and middle age plus, it is very important to rule out any cardiac problem for that. And they did that, and it was wonderful.
Was it because of the chemo or because of your cancer?
I really can't say that. I would be at a loss to say that but I think it was just one of the effects of chemo. I did develop a reaction to my first or second chemo, and they sorted it out, so it was nothing bad.
I've read somewhere in a book where they say the kind of treatment, the chemotherapy that is given now is a lot better than it used to be many years ago.
Oh yes, that's what I'm saying. From the time I started, about 1 year, 1.5 years ago, to now, already there's a considerable improvement. And for all the viewers, let me tell you, Canada is in the forefront of medical research. Cancer being one of them. You must have heard of Princess Margaret Lottery, yes. Right? They are doing a lot of research work here in other colleges and of medical institutes around Toronto. They are doing a wonderful job, and we need all out to support these efforts.
And I've also read even the side effects of chemotherapy, which used to be really nightmarish. It's no longer that scary, is it?
Yeah, it's not that scary, yes. Okay. But the side effects are there. Every medicine has its side effects, right? And you cannot dispute that. But one cannot also be grateful enough that those side effects are treated or treatable, right?
Okay.
So we have to look at the positive aspect of everything. The very fact that yes. The cancer is getting treated, I think side effects are actually minor. They can be dangerous. I'm not saying they cannot be dangerous, but with the support systems here, most of the side effects are taken care of very well.
That's wonderful. May I ask, what are your symptoms after chemo?
After chemo, what I feel is a lot of fatigue. First, the cancer cells eat away most of your diet. Then there's abdominal discomfort, constipation is a very common thing. Of course, they treat you for that. Okay. And I had my chemo 2 weeks ago. Our show was scheduled, do you remember? And I had to cancel it. I just couldn't get out of bed, and in spite of all my efforts. But the third day I was up and about. So these are very disconcerting at that moment, but one gets over them. And I personally, fatigue and constipation are one of the major side effects of chemo that I have experienced. Some people experience hair loss. Fortunately, I still have mine. So it's quite individualistic too. And it doesn't really, I don't think one should worry about these as long as there's treatment.
But I must tell you this, viewers, just listen to this. He's the only person, I've met a lot of cancer patients, a lot of my friends, my relatives, but he's the only person that I've met who goes for a chemotherapy and the second day he goes to the gym.
Yeah, I have
What's
to.
the secret?
I have to get up. I have to get up. Nothing, I have to get up.
I've never met a person like
That's
you.
very kind of you to say that.
So how do you manage? Okay, we know that you have the willpower, but what is it that makes you go to the gym? Even for a normal person, it's so difficult to get up and go to the gym every day.
Honestly, even for me, it's difficult to get up and go to the gym, but once in the gym, and I would inspire everyone who's listening, you must do some kind of physical exercise, because physical exercise brings out the good neurotransmitters in your brain, and you feel better. It's like going to a prayer home, whichever prayer house you go to.
The happy hormones.
Yes, that happy hormone, they bring that out and keep away depression. And once you've done the gym, actually when I go to the gym, I have time constraints, so I have to come back, otherwise I would like to continue doing it. It's so much of fun. After my initial run, I think I get so happy that I want to keep doing this and that and this and that.
It's so wonderful to see the joy on your face when you're talking about the gym.
Yeah, it is. I'm maybe a workaholic. It's better than being an alcoholic, right? So, yes. So I like to work out, and rest only when absolutely necessary, and rest is necessary too. Yes.
So how are your days divided now? What do you do?
We're going to. Well, I have a fixed routine for the last 50 years. I get up after 6 hours of sleep. I sleep at about midnight, get up at 6 almost every day, and unless after chemo, sometimes, like I slept about 10 hours today. And yes, once I'm normal, 6 hours sleep, get up, do the morning chores, and then go to the gym. Run 1 kilometer. I won't advise running for everyone, because unless you're used to it, I'm used to it for the past 50 years, right? And talk to your doctor before you go to the gym or anything. Please don't think this is medical advice, right? This is my personal lifestyle, and come back to the gym. I'm gung-ho, ready to go for the day. I cook breakfast for myself and my family, pack my lunch for myself and my family, and then go to my college, which is again a great pleasure. Teaching is my passion, and I'm really blessed that I have such wonderful students also, and one of them is sitting here, right? And yes, then I come back, and I do get fatigued by that time because of my chemo, so take a little bit of rest, and then the evening thing starts, and fun and family time. Every day I must have my family time with my wife and son. And I implore every listener, remember, the family is a very, very important thing. You must have some quality family time. When we adults don't criticize our children, number one, right? Because that destroys the self-confidence. And of course, we have wonderful children too. I think all children are wonderful. It's only the parents who can make mistakes. The children are wonderful, right?
I'm sure all the children are happy listening to that.
So, yes, but sit down with your family, talk, and mealtime we must have dinner together. And then my son, I'm blessed, he's with us. He sets up one program for me and my wife to see, and then we go to our sleep, and the next day routine starts again. And it's wonderful.
That's great, because the modern living, the modern world that we live in, there's no time for anything.
Yes.
Everybody's running around for their own goals.
There's never been time for anything. We have to make time. We have to make time and know our priorities, because the strength comes from family.
Yes.
Family, friends, they're very important in one's life. And of course, physical exercise and good diet, right? Yeah, so that is very important. But before you do any physical exercise, please, 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 I request again and again, do not do it without your doctor's consultation. You should know your limits.
You just mentioned you cook breakfast for your family and yourself. Do you cook like full-fledged meals?
Yes,
Wow.
I am very passionate about cooking also. I'm passionate about everything I do, I think. Right? So, yes. Cooking is a wonderful thing because you're cooking for your loved ones, right?
Yes.
So it's not a chore. Most of us feel, oh, this is too... And I learned some South Indian cooking from you. I learned North Indian cooking from my Punjabi friends, and I learned Gujarati cooking from my Gujarati friend. So it's really we are blessed to be in Canada where it's multicultural.
Yes.
I have a Turkish student who taught me some Turkish delights, and of course the Turkish delight originally means they're sweet, right?
Yes.
And I always tell her, whenever you have a celebration, make it for me too. Yes.
Viewers, I was a student and I saw the discipline this person has in his life. It's incredible. So, Dr. Rajeev, tell us more about your journey. What are your plans?
Unfortunately, I cannot make too many plans because my credentials have not been evaluated as yet. I do not have the money to pursue many courses, and actually my job has just come to an end, so the struggle starts from scratch again. And I would like to, like I say, progress. I'm always progressive. I want to further my career. A wonderful person asked me, "You're getting old, why should you study more?" Oh, well, I think I don't know how long I'm going to live, so might as well do something worthwhile. And of course, I do have a plan if I can join some social organization where I can benefit people from all cultures and bring them together in this wonderful Canadian diaspora.
Okay.
That's one of my strongest desires.
In what field are you looking for to do social service?
Any field where I can be creative and I can be useful, and any health related, I would be very helpful, and let's hope I can get it. I am trying.
Okay. So you're still working at the college?
Yeah,
as a
actually that
lecturer?
unfortunately that's a small part-time contract period,
Okay.
so I have to now reconsider my priorities and get working again full-time, which is difficult because people don't employ older people, right?
Yes.
Whether they might say age discrimination doesn't exist.
Yes, that's
But
a harsh reality
that's a
of
harsh
life.
reality, yes. And I wouldn't blame them entirely, but one thing, yes, I do feel Canada should use our experiences. My 50 years of experience has gone to dust, and I always say that this is something we need to reconsider about how to use our experiences. I have had, my hospitals have always been the best run hospitals. In fact, in one city, every VIP used to come there.
Okay.
So anyway, I think
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
It's been a really nice talking to you and
Thank
discussing
you. Thank
and
you very much
listening
for
to
your
your
time.
stories and your life. It's been such an inspiration for our viewers and me. And we wish you the very, very best.
Thank
Dr.
you so
Rajeev.
much.
And if there's anything that we can do, please don't hesitate. And viewers, you can call him if you need any kind of advice or guidance. And Dr. Rajeev, would you like to give your number?
No medical advice because I'm not licensed here, but otherwise, yes, inspiration, and I would say don't lose your spirits at all. Spirits, keep your spirits high. That is one, and your family, keep it together. My number is 647-400-3002, and if I can be of any help to anybody, and I would, within the legal limits, I would be more than happy to help you.
Thank you so much, Rajeev.
Thank you.
And
God
thank
bless
you,
everyone.
viewers. And we have learned a lot, and we have all evolved. We do grow every day, and that's what life is all about. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.